Hey, welcome to the 7th grade science project with Scratch. Before I show you the code and the template, I wanted to kind of explain what's going on behind the scenes with the code, especially how we're keeping track of what layer we're on. So if you've ever played a game where you have to keep track of what level you're at, so for instance this thing is from the Munchkin game, and this shows that I'm on level 3. So that's what's keeping track of my level. And then maybe I roll some dice, and depending on the outcome, I might go up a level. So I'd move this to 4, or I go down a level and I move to 3. So we basically have two things going on here. We have something that's always keeping track of the level that I'm at, and then a piece of information that changes that level based on whatever the number shows. So the same mechanics are at work for this template. So the template looks like this, and you have an intro which you're going to be able to update. And then you start at the first layer. Now in this template I go 4 layers up. And then I can go down those layers and then go the layers down if I wanted to do ocean. So the layers up are the atmosphere, layers down are the ocean. You only have to pick one of those ways to go. But how does the code know when I need to change the backgrounds and the sprites that appear? Well, if you'll notice here, I'm keeping track of something called level. And if I go up enough, then my level changes. And now I'm keeping track of my level again. And I keep going up. And if I go down, I'm at level 3. Well, I know if I go down far enough, then I'm going to need to change my level to 2. And actually, that is the mechanics that is at work here. If we look at the code, it might look a little intimidating to start with. This is a code. But basically, it's taking advantage of these two things, keeping track of what level I'm on, and then based on where I am on the y-axis, in this case, how high I am or how low I am, then we're going to change. So for instance, this part of the code is going up. So if I'm at level 1 and my Y position of my cat goes above 175, and you'll notice as I'm moving my mouse here, this Y is changing, so it's always keeping track of where the sprite is. So if it goes greater than 175, then I'm going to switch up to the next level, change that level indicator, and then I also need to change my my Y position when I reach that new level, because when I go up, I don't want to be at the top of that new level. I want to be back down here below. And in fact, I have some code here. If I turn this variable on, it actually shows my Y location. So you can see as I'm going up here, now I'm at level 2. And if I get above 175, and you can watch it, oh, there it went, then it puts me up to layer 3, sets my level to 3, and then puts me at negative 116, and on and on. So that's going up. Now to go back down, so I'll go all the way up. So now I'm done this piece of code. Now when I'm going down, if I'm at level 4, and my cat position, the Y position, gets less than negative 165, you'll notice that it changes and then puts the cat back up at the top of the screen. So now I'm at this, where if I'm at level 3 and I go down level 2, I go down back down to layer 1. So that's the code for going up in the atmosphere. This code beside it is if you're going down into the ocean layers. So if you want to do that. So basically whatever you decide to do, you can just unhook. If you decide to do oceans, you'll just unhook that code. I wouldn't delete it because maybe you'll want it later, but you can just unhook it. Or if you decide to do atmosphere, you can unhook that code. So that's basically how the code is working under the covers. And again, you're going to get this template, so you don't have to recreate this code. And this is this is just how the character goes up and down with the arrow keys, and it can also go right and left. So that's how that works. What you're going to be doing first of all is updating these layers with representations of how that looks. So if I go to stage and then backdrops, you'll see that I already have created these layers, and the layer names are important because that's already in the code. So if you're going to create a new layer, you can either grab a layer from from Scratch. You can create your own, or if you get something from the web, you can upload it to Scratch. Just know that if you're grabbing images from the web, you need to keep track of them. So you might create a Google Doc to keep track of where you brought the images in. I'm just going to create a new backdrop, and I'm going to paint it a color, let's say light blue. I'm going to drop the paint bucket on it. And then let's say I actually want to label this. I don't want to do it with this text. If I did it with this text, I would never be able to update it again. So at this point, I want to convert to vector, and then I can use this text. I'm going to want to change the color. So whatever, let's say I'm making this level 2, but you would describe it as that layer of the ocean. You can change the font here. And then if you click on the arrow key, you can change the size or in location by dragging it like that. So let's say that's my new level 2 down. What I want to do is delete this one that's existing. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to rename this one layer 2 down. So that when I run my code, it should now appear as level 2 down. So I didn't have to change any of the code as long as I renamed things so they matched up. Also, these score and the levels from the data, if you go to data, if you don't want to see that anymore, you can check it off like that. Now let's say that you want to change a sprite. So for instance, another way you can create a sprite is I used Google Drawing to create this. So you could put in the information that you need in some sort of customized drawing, download it as a PNG, make sure it's a PNG, that way it'll keep the transparent backdrop. And then you can upload it. If you're in costumes, you can go and upload it this way. And that's all you have to do. You just have to, if you're changing an existing sprite, you just have to do that. Now let's say you want to add a new sprite. I'm just going to add one from the library. Maybe I want a butterfly to appear. Oops, where'd it go? Okay, so that's a new sprite. I'm going to have to give it some code to know when it needs to appear and not appear. So I actually want this to appear in my layer 2. So I am going to bring 3 of these out. So when it's on layer 2 up, I want it to, under looks, I want it to show. But when it's on the layer right above, which is layer 3, or the layer right below, which is layer 1, I want it to hide. That's how you get the sprites to show up when you want them. So we can check that code out. Oops. And I need to hide it when I click the flag too. All right, now it appears, and now it disappears. So then if I wanted to do more code to move it around like I had the balloon, you just add it in here. But let's add that one other, when I click the flag, I need it to hide. So that's how you get a new sprite to appear at a certain level. I've already given you a few sprites, like the balloon is doing this game where you can try to catch it and it'll say a cool fact, so you just update the fact here. If you want to keep that, you could actually duplicate if you wanted to see that in another level. On a Mac, you do 2-finger click. On a PC, you right click, you duplicate that code, and then you would just have it show up and hide when it needs to hide. The intro screen is this. So I would go to costumes, and that's what appears for the intro, so you can change that to whatever you'd like about your project. Just make sure if you use your name, you only do your first name. And I think we're going to do that for now. Good luck.